Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
Across the country, thousands of protesters took to the street last night. Good evening, I'm Carter Eckel.
And I'm Justin Holbrook. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, that's right, Carter. Local protesters met at the Athens County Courthouse on Sunday evening. Organizers of the protest included the International Socialist Organization, the Multicultural Activist Coalition, F-Rape Culture, the Hispanic Latino Student Union. Leaders of the groups led protesters up Court Street and down Mill Street. Kim Reynolds, an Ohio University student and advocate for anti-hate, was part of the protest last night.
I'm not here to shame Trump supporters, but I am here to very vehemently deny this decision. I will not be silenced when it comes to racism, sexism, homophobia, overturning of people's rights in legislature. I think it's really important to demonstrate that this presidential election is not normal.
Reynolds says she understands that the Electoral College voted for Trump, however plans to continue protesting to show that she and others will not tolerate hate or violence. About 100 protesters also gathered in two of Ohio's largest cities. About 100 people marched through downtown Toledo Saturday afternoon, while earlier in the day, several hundred people came out in Cincinnati. Many protesters spoke about the fear surrounding a Trump presidency. And Trump protesters in Cincinnati ended up joining with another group protesting a mistrial declared Saturday in the case against former police officer Ray Tensing. Stick around, we've got an in-depth look at that story coming up later in the show.
The new pool for the city of Athens has officially been funded. Tonight, City Council will hear a presentation regarding the bonds that provide funding for the pool, which is set to be built in 2017. Councilman Jeff Risner said the bonds for the pool sold very quickly despite being worth millions of dollars. Council will also be discussing the budgeting process for 2017. Christine Nisley said the council is required to finalize the budget within the next few months. The distillery that provides for the West End Cider House is moving from Meigs to Athens. The business's co-owners plan to move the distillery to the old Electric Motor Services building at 237 West Washington Street. Zoning issues initially held up the move, but after rezoning, Athens City Code approved the move last Thursday.
Good evening and welcome back to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm Adriana Davies. And this weekend we saw cooler temperatures that was due to a cold front that moved through late on Saturday, and we saw high pressure set in that brought us clear skies. The sun made it feel a little bit warmer than it actually was. But as for right now in Athens, we're looking at 45 degrees under clear skies with winds from the southwest at 2 miles an hour. Right now in Athens and around the region, we're looking at 46 down in Ironton and in Ripley, 44 over in Marietta. And our overnight lows, it'll be pretty chilly, 32 degrees in Athens, 34 down in Ironton and in Ripley with partly cloudy skies around the region. Overnight, hour by hour, 8 p.m. we'll see 43 degrees, by 12 we'll see 37, and by 4 a.m. we'll see 35 degrees with clear skies around the region. And now over to you, Justin.
After 25 hours of deliberation, the jury could not agree on a verdict in the trial of former University of Cincinnati police officer Ray Tensing. Roseanne Aragon has the story.
By reason of your inability to reach a verdict, I declare this case a mistrial.
After jurors deliberated for more than 25 hours, a Hamilton County judge declared a mistrial in the case of former Ohio police officer Ray Tensing, accused of murdering Sam DuBose during a traffic stop in 2015. It wouldn't be long before demonstrators took to the streets in protest.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
Tensing was an officer for the University of Cincinnati when he fatally shot DuBose. The shooting was recorded on Tensing's body cam. Tensing testified on Tuesday that he pulled DuBose over for a missing license tag. The officer said he reached into the car to grab the car keys from the ignition, but was dragged by the arm after DuBose tried to take off, and that's when he reached up and shot him. Prosecutors argued Tensing wasn't being pulled by the car and did not need to open fire. Following news of the mistrial, Cincinnati Mayor John Cranley says he hopes the prosecutor will retry the case.
This case is not over. I think we've learned throughout this process how deeply Prosecutor Dieters feels about the case and about what is right and what is wrong. So I expect that he will look to continue to find a way to bring justice to this case.
DuBose's family received a nearly $5 million settlement from the university, including undergraduate tuition for DuBose's children, a formal apology, and an on-campus memorial. I'm Yasmin Amer, reporting.
Following the mistrial, prosecutor Joe Dieters says he will consider whether or not to retry the case.
Potential changes to an Ohio law could allow former sex offenders to live near schools. This would be possible through a proposal that removes residency restrictions. The law would also give judges discretion to take offenders off the list if they are believed to have a low risk of re-offending. It would also allow offenders to petition to change their status. Voting for the changes is set for Thursday.
A West Virginia fire department responds to a suit in which it's accused of racial discrimination against a former employee. In October, Leonel Casso filed a lawsuit against the Star City Volunteer Fire Department, claiming that he was called derogatory names because of his Hispanic heritage. When Casso reported the incidents, he claimed that he was told to resign or he would be fired. According to the Dominion Post, the Star City Volunteer Fire Department is denying the claims and seeking to have the suit dismissed.
Ohioans are making sure troops abroad get to celebrate with an American tradition. More than 100 Ohio-grown Christmas trees are being sent overseas to military units. The Ohio Christmas Tree Association has been delivering trees to troops stationed abroad since 1995. School children, churches, and veterans groups all made decorations for the donated trees.
And when we return, the world says goodbye to PBS veteran journalist and newscaster Gwen Eiffel.
University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
Friday nights are all about high school football, but when the games are over and the helmets come off, it's time for some gridiron glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. Don't miss a play this season. Join myself and the rest of our team on Friday nights at 11:30 on WOUB and catch us again on Saturday mornings at 11:30. We are committed to bringing you the stories of players, coaches, and communities, and of course, we can't forget about some highlights. We all know there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming. It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is. The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
We have sad news to report. Veteran journalist and newscaster Gwen Eiffel has died of cancer at the age of 61. She had been battling endometrial cancer while covering this year's presidential election. Eiffel co-hosted PBS NewsHour since 2013 with Judy Woodruff, the first woman to co-anchor a nightly news broadcast. The president of PBS, in a statement, called Eiffel, quote, "one of America's leading lights in journalism." Close friend Michelle Norris called her someone who stayed true to her values. Eiffel's career also included time with the Washington Post, New York Times, and NBC News.
This afternoon, President Obama held his first press conference since the election before flying off for his last foreign trip. President Obama urged Americans to give President-elect Trump a chance and said that his team is ready to ensure a smooth transition.
Here we go.
Hello, everybody. In a couple hours, I'll be departing on my final foreign trip as president. And while we're abroad, I'll have a chance to take a few of your questions, but I think
President-elect Donald Trump has started to pick the members of his White House administration team, but there's still a number of key positions that need to be filled before Trump's inauguration in January. Diane Gallagher has the latest from Washington.
Members of the transition team showing up for their first full week of work.
This week you'll hear some additional appointments.
Vice President-elect Mike Pence, the transition leader, spoke in Indiana Monday about exactly who they're looking for.
It's all about finding men and women who have the character and the competence, the vision that Donald Trump has expressed.
But some are already questioning Trump's inner circle selections. On Sunday, Republican National Committee Chairman Reince Priebus was named Chief of Staff. Priebus will serve as an equal partner to Trump's newly named Chief Counselor and strategist Steve Bannon, the campaign CEO and controversial former head of the far-right-leaning Breitbart News. Now, critics pointing to a history of incendiary pieces published under Bannon's watch are concerned about the tone that he may bring to the West Wing, especially as racial tensions and reports of harassment escalate across the country. The Trump team is defending the appointment.
People should look at the full resume. He's got a Harvard business degree. He's a naval officer.
And the president-elect has a message for any of his supporters who may be harassing minorities.
Don't do it. That's terrible. Because I'm going to bring this country together. I say stop it. If it helps. I will say this, and I'll say it right to the camera, stop it.
In Washington, I'm Diane Gallagher.
As Trump continues to fill out his cabinet, speculation continues to arise regarding the potential names he's choosing to sit beside him.
This presidential election showed how limited the influence of political megadonors can be. This was the second presidential cycle since the Supreme Court allowed them to write 8-figure checks to political super PACs. Even though much of the GOP's big money went to Donald Trump's opponents in the primaries, he still beat them.
A jury reached a verdict today in the trial of Justin Ross Harris. He's the Atlanta area man accused of intentionally locking his 22-month-old son inside a hot car back in 2014, leading to his death. The jury found Harris guilty on 8 charges, including 3 counts of murder and 2 counts of cruelty to children. The jury in Glenn County deliberated for 4 days before reaching a verdict. Harris faces life in prison when he is sentenced December 5th.
Aleppo is already struggling with a humanitarian crisis, and now an impending assault from the Syrian regime could make things even worse. Text messages went out to people in the rebel-held Aleppo, Syria early Sunday, warning them to flee the city. The messages urge residents to leave within 24 hours before a strategically planned assault is launched. They also ordered rebels in the city to put down their weapons and renounce their leadership.
Samsung is splashing out $8 billion trying to gain an edge on other tech companies in the auto sector. The South Korean electronics giant announced Monday that it's buying Harman International Industries. The U.S. company makes infotainment, safety, and security systems for cars. The move follows investments in the auto industry by tech giants from Apple to Google and chipmaker Qualcomm. It also gives Samsung new room to grow amid challenges in the smartphone business, most notably with their Galaxy Note 7. On Wall Street today, the tech sector took a hit despite Samsung's large auto acquisition and others like it. Here's a look at stocks of local interest.
And if you look out your window tonight, look for the supermoon. We'll tell you more about this phenomenon and how long you can witness this historical event.
In this week, we're looking at a pleasant week ahead. We see the next chance for rain coming up as well. We'll talk about that and more on my extended forecast.
Professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Ohio University University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming. It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, this is it. And she said, the tour's just started. I said, no, you don't understand. This is it.
Friday nights are all about high school football, but when the games are over and the helmets come off, it's time for some gridiron glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. Don't miss a play this season. Join myself and the rest of our team on Friday nights at 11:30 on WOUB and catch us again on Saturday mornings at 11:30. We are committed to bringing you the stories of players, coaches, and communities, and of course, we can't forget about some highlights. We all know there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.
The moon has been putting up a big show in the sky. It's the phenomenon called supermoon, meaning the moon looks much bigger and brighter. It happens when the moon becomes full on the same day when its orbit is closest to Earth. Supermoons come around once every 13 months, but what makes this one special is the fact that the moon will look bigger than at any point in the past 68 years. According to astronomers, the moon turned full at exactly 8:52 this morning, but you can enjoy the view anytime the moon is out in the next day or two.
Good evening and welcome back to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm Adriana Davies. And right now in Athens, we're looking at 45 degrees under clear skies with winds from the southwest at 2 miles an hour. Right now around the region, we see 44 in Athens, 46 down in Ironton and up in Cambridge as well, 45 for our state's capital over in Columbus. Tonight in Athens, we're looking at 32 degrees with mostly clear skies. Now this temperature is right around average for this time of the year. I know we've been seeing a ton of warmer weather and that will not be here to stay. We will see a little bit of a warm up later in the week, but as for right now, we will see seasonable temperatures with winds that are light and variable. You're out and about, please grab that jacket. You're going to be really chilly tonight. Our overnight lows, we're looking at 34 down in Ironton. We see 35 up in New Martinsville. That's our regional high. 32 over in Columbus, and majority of our region will see 32 degrees with mostly clear skies. Overnight, hour by hour, we see 43 degrees by 8 p.m., 37 by 12, and then by 4 a.m. we see 35 degrees under clear skies for our area. At the bus stop tomorrow morning, we're looking at 37. That is mostly sunny and, like I said, right around average, so definitely grab that jacket. Winds from the southwest at 0 to 5 miles an hour. We're definitely going to have a chilly commute in the morning. For everybody, I can't stress enough, you're not used to this cold weather, so you're definitely going to need to bundle up. As for tomorrow in Athens, we're looking at 58 degrees, so by the end of the day, we'll see a little bit of warmer temperatures, mostly sunny. That's definitely more pleasant than we're looking at in the middle of the night or into the morning, with winds again at the southwest, 0 to 5 miles an hour. As for our tomorrow highs, we're looking at 59 down in Ironton and over in Ripley, 58 in Newark, and 58 over in Athens, with mostly clear skies around our area. Day planner for tomorrow, 37 in the morning like we discussed, 55 by noon, and then 57 by 4 p.m., mostly clear skies. So our extended forecast, we'll see that little bit of a warm up towards the end of the week, but that'll bring a chance for rain with it as well. But those chilly temperatures will be here. We'll see really, really low overnight lows into the rest of the week. That will be pretty much seasonal for this time of the year. You guys are going to have to get used to the cooler temperatures. I know I'm not very excited about it, but I guess some people are. People like the snow. But we'll go over to Carter.
Thanks a lot, Adriana. If you are taking medication prescribed by a doctor, there are a few safety tips you should know about. Most of them start with your relationship with your pharmacist. Kelly Bowman explains in today's Health Minute.
There are a few major questions pharmacists want you to ask. So try taking these for a spin the next time you pick up a prescription. Is this the right medication for me?
Is it safe to take with the current medications that I'm taking? Another great question to ask is if it's going to interfere with any over-the-counter products that I take. Can I take this with or without food? Is there a specific time of day that I should take this medication? Can this product be crushed or mixed with food if it's for a child?
Am I allergic to this medication?
If we don't have any allergies, we can't prevent the interaction. So if you are someone with an allergy, it should be presented every time.
What should I always tell my pharmacist?
Going to the same pharmacy every time is really important. It's also important to know your pharmacist. You want to let them know what medications you're taking, both prescription and over-the-counter. You want to let them know any disease states that you currently have, and if you're taking any herbal supplements.
For Health Minute, I'm Kelly Bowman.
And a good final question for your pharmacist is asking if there's anything else you should know about that in particular medication. And now let's go over to Megan for sports.
Hey everyone, I'm Megan Vanslow. Coming up in sports, I'll preview Ohio men's basketball as they look to get a streak started tonight against Sam Houston State in the Convocation Center. And I'll break down how the upsets in college football affected Ohio State and the rest of the rankings. That's next on Newswatch. And stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Friday nights are all about high school football, but when the games are over and the helmets come off, it's time for some gridiron glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. Don't miss a play this season. Join myself and the rest of our team on Friday nights at 11:30 on WOUB and catch us again on Saturday mornings at 11:30. We are committed to bringing you the stories of players, coaches, and communities, and of course, we can't forget about some highlights. We all know there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Welcome back, I'm Megan Vanslow. The Ohio men's basketball team won their 13th season opener game against Southern on Saturday, 77-66. Southern was 22-13 last season. Ohio had 4 players with double figures, including Jordan Jardis, who had 15 points. He had 3 three-pointers and also went 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Kenny Kaminsky and Antonio Campbell each had 14 points, and Jerron Simmons had 11. Ohio trailed for most of the first half, but went on a 12-2 run going into halftime, but were able to carry it through the rest of the game. Tonight they're going to face Sam Houston State at 7 p.m., who is 1-0 on the season because of a win against Laterno, 104-57. And for the women, Jasmine Weatherspoon led Ohio career points and had her first double-double of the season as Ohio won 76-48 over High Point yesterday. Weatherspoon had 17 points, and 11 rebounds and 4 blocks. Taylor Agler finished the game with 15 points and went 4 of 8 from the field. Ohio was 27 of 55 from the field in general, and they also grabbed 38 boards. The Bobcats forced 12 steals and turned it into 24 points. Although they turned the ball over 23 times. They had 11 fast break points and also scored 26 bench points. And as the basketball seasons are ending, Ohio women's volleyball season wrapped up their regular season this weekend with a 3-2 loss at Central Michigan. They're going to return to action Friday as a 3 seed in the first round with a bye week in the first round of the MAC tournament, and they'll face the winner of 6-seeded Toledo and 7-seeded Kent State. Local high school football seasons are also coming to an end as Trimble fell to Waterford 22-0 and Nelsonville York fell to Wheelersburg 38-6. Trimble had just 99 yards on offense in the game, and Waterford completely dominated. They'll go on to play this week on Saturday. And for Nelsonville York, Keegan Wilburn had the only score for Nelsonville York in the game. The freshman has replaced Alex Mount in the postseason and had a tremendous performance. Many other key players for Nelsonville York are leaving for graduation, but he's going to carry the success of this historical 2016 season for Nelsonville York. And college football had incredible upsets across the top of the rankings as Michigan, Clemson, and Washington all lost their matchups on Saturday. Both Michigan Wolverines and the Clemson Tigers lost to Iowa and Pittsburgh on game-sealing field goals, respectively, while Washington lost to a resurging USC team by 13 points. Meanwhile, Ohio State dominated this week, running past the Maryland Terpentines 62-3. Their huge win in the face of several upsets this week, the Buckeyes are poised to move up to the top 4 of the college football playoff rankings. And the Cincinnati Bengals are hoping for a shakeup on their season when they travel to MetLife Stadium to take on the New York Giants in Monday night's NFL matchup. The Bengals defense have given up at least 400 yards in 3 of their last 4 games. The only exception is to the winless Cleveland Browns. They've struggled with an older roster, according to the ESPN. 7 defensive players are at least 29 or older and have taken at least 200 defensive snaps this season. This tied for the most in the NFL, and the Giants are placed last but are picked to win tonight. Kickoff is scheduled for 8:30 at MetLife Stadium. LeBron James sparked a fourth-quarter comeback with 11 points, and Channing Frye scored a season-high 20. The Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Charlotte Hornets 100-93 yesterday. Kyrie Irving scored 19 points, and Kevin Love added 17. Charlotte led 72-71 after 3 quarters, but Frye's three-pointer off James' assist put the Cavaliers ahead 77-74 in the final period. And Columbus Blue Jackets defenseman Jack Johnson will turn over most of his $5 million annual salary to creditors that was decided in federal bankruptcy court this weekend, and he's going to keep just less than $250,000 for living expenses under an agreement with some of those creditors. A few of the others still have not made an agreement. Johnson filed for bankruptcy in 2014, saying his finances fell apart under his parents' management. That's it for sports. I'm Megan Vanslow. Back to you guys.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Justin Holbrook.
And I'm Carter Eckel. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Friday nights are all about high school football, but when the games are over and the helmets come off, it's time for some gridiron glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. Don't miss a play this season. Join myself and the rest of our team on Friday nights at 11:30 on WOUB and catch us again on Saturday mornings at 11:30. We are committed to bringing you the stories of players, coaches, and communities, and of course, we can't forget about some highlights. We all know there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.